In this video, we're going to understand the 5-step process for working with real estate agents. We're going to learn how to build rapport with agents. We're going to identify the key questions to ask agents. We're going to master the art of presenting offers to agents. What is up, you guys? My name is Big Joe from the North Side, and I am a beginner wholesaler on the journey to getting my first distressed home under contract. If you get along on my journey right now, you'll be learning with me. That's the whole point of me making these videos, is for you to learn with me. Maybe build a community of people that are learning at the same time, and we can kind of help each other. But today we're going to be going over Jerry Norton's 5-step cash offer. There's so many people on YouTube making content regarding wholesaling. It's the lowest entry to getting into real estate, and everybody's doing it. And I told myself that from the very beginning I was going to have to just lock in on 1 to 2 people. Jerry Norton has a lot of videos where he's recording himself doing live wholesales. That's a way that I learned very easily. And I really feel like his way is probably the best way for me to at least do it. Following this way may not be the only way. Like, this is not the only way. This is not what I'm saying is gonna work for everybody. But this is what I'm seeing that Jerry says work, and this is what I think is gonna work. So all the calls that I make on this channel are going to be going off of this 5-step cash offer. In this video, we're gonna understand the 5-step process for working with real estate agents. We're gonna learn how to build rapport with agents. We're gonna identify the key questions to ask agents. We're gonna master the art of presenting offers to agents. So step 1 in Jerry's 5-step process for offering cash offers is the introduction. Now you're gonna wanna say this exactly the way that it is written down here. At least this is what I'm going to be doing. Every time that I call, I'm going to use this exact same script. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, I'm calling about your listing on blank. I'm an investor interested in making a cash offer. That's how I'm starting every conversation off. Right after that, I immediately am going to be establishing the double dip relationship. Now, for those of you that don't understand what the double dip relationship, in short, the seller needs to be represented by a agent and the buyer needs to be represented by an agent. The seller already has an agent because the homes that we're going to be looking at are on market homes. So there's already an agent that has listed it to the market. That is the seller's agent. To close on a home, you need to have 2 agents. We are coming unrepresented, so we can have this agent represent us as well, which means that they would make double the commission. Each agent gets 3%. So if you're the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, now you get 6%. This is an incentivization that we're going, is that even a word? Babe, is incentivization a word?
What?
Is incentivization a word?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This incentivizes agents to want to work with us because they're going to make double the commission. So we're going to say this exactly. I'm unrepresented and I'd love to let you write the offer for me so that you can get both sides of the commission. How does that sound? Now, you would think that everybody would say yes, but I've listened to plenty of calls and I've made a few calls, and not everyone cares about making that 6%. Now, that's what we're here to offer, and then there are a good amount of people that are going to be like, okay, hey, that sounds good to me, but it's not everyone. So don't just think that's going to make them, bow to you and think that you're just such a savior from the heavens. Because some of these agents are making lots of money. Like, they don't care to miss out on your 3%. They have properties and they're going, and they're in hot markets. The second step is to build credibility. Simple quotes, okay? The first one is, what can you tell me about the property? So at this moment, you're taking control of the conversation. You're saying, hey, I'm in the driver's seat. What's going on? This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I can offer to you. Now tell me about the property. In an ideal world, the agent's just going to start giving us all the information about the property, letting us know why the seller wants to sell. Hopefully it's a motivated reason. Along with that first question, you should have your own specific question about the property. One that I think I'm going to be using, I've only made a few calls, but one I think I'm going to be using pretty often is, well, what's the floor plan look like? Or do you think there's room to add an additional bathroom? I was actually doing a comp on a property where the property was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, but all the comps were 3-bedroom, 2 baths. But they all had the same square footage. So I was thinking to myself, well, we could probably try to add a 2nd bathroom to that, right? That was a great question to ask that agent. That lets them know, first off, I'm building credibility. I've looked into the property. I've done my comps. I know what I'm talking about. At least that's what it sounds like, which is the goal. Step 3, we're going to justify a low cash offer. Once again, we have 2 simple quotes. First one is, what do you think it'll cost to rehab this home? Ideally, you've already done comps before you've got this part of the conversation. At least you have an idea of what the rehab's going to take and what the rehab's going to cost. So you're not really looking for the agent to tell you a number so that you can plug it into your equation. This is simply for conversational purposes. You're just asking them this. That way you can get them to justify that work needs to be done on the home and that we're going to need this at a discount. You're just trying to get them to come to that realization themselves before you make your lowball offer. Yeah, first you say, what do you think it'll cost to rehab this home? Then, after they tell you, which some might not tell you anything. I asked the guy today, what do you think it'll cost to rehab this home? He says, I'm a broker, not a contractor. Okay, tough guy. Okay. So this is like they're always going to tell you. But on the off chance that they do, if it's what you have written down as what you think it'll be, then hey, go ahead and make and use that time to build some rapport and be like, hey man, yeah, that's actually what I was thinking as well. That's about the same thing that I thought. Or if it's not, then you have to justify it at that point. So if they say, man, I think it'll probably be able to get done for $10,000, but you're looking at this, and from everything that you know, it looks like this is about $50,000 worth of rehab. You're gonna have to be like, well, man, I'd love for you to show me how you got to that number. And I was listening to a call that Jerry was having the other day, and this guy just was so persistent on the fact that he'd be able to get the work done for less because the numbers weren't adding up. Because at this point, when we're going to justify the low cash offer, we're making the numbers make sense. So Jerry, which is the only guy I'm listening to, whenever he does these calls with these people and the numbers don't start to make sense here, he tries to make it make sense to them. And he gets really logic based, and there's no way that you can really shake him because he's asking you point blank period, how are you going to do this? And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Well, on the off chance that they do make sense, then you would ask him, if I make those repairs, what do you think it'll sell for? Now, once again, you have already done your comps. You know what this is probably going to sell for. So whatever number they say, it's whatever. But if it sounds good, you go along with it. If not, you ask where they're getting that number from. Especially if it's higher, I would ask them, where are you getting that number from? Can you send me those comps? Because I'm not seeing that from what I'm looking at. Step number 4, finding the bottom. I'm going to be saying, I'd like to make an offer. If I can close fast and pay all cash, what do you think is the lowest price that the seller will take? Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. I haven't had anybody tell me yet. I've made about 4 calls and nobody has told me the lowest that they think that the seller will take. I've been told to give my highest and my best. That's what they always say. Give your highest and your best. Just give an offer. Then you're going to want to say, my offer is quite a bit lower than the asking price, but I'd still love to make a cash offer. Would you be willing to present a verbal offer to the seller that is much lower than the asking price? Now, there's a verbal offer and there's a written offer. Verbal offer is simple. You just simply ask the agent to ask the seller if they would take this price. They say yes, then you would go ahead and create a written offer. Most times, at least what I've heard on these calls, is they'll say, sure, what's the price? That's when we go to step 5, give the offer. Mind you, this is a process. Every step built onto the next. Based on everything that we discussed, for this deal to work, I need to be around, then you give your offer. If you did a good job justifying the lowball offer, this step's gonna be a breeze. And if you were able to find the lowest, maybe, if you were able to find the lowest that they went, and you know that your offer's close to that, I mean, hey, that's also a win. I haven't had either one of those yet. Now, make sure that your price has wiggle room for negotiation. So after you've done your calculation with the ARV and the price that the cash buyer is going to want to get it at, and then added in your commission, then you also want to make sure that you make room for you to wiggle and negotiate. Add about $3,000-$4,000 lower than what actually you want to make. At least that's what I'm going to be doing. To make sure that I have room for negotiation. After you make this offer, most times it's going to be a lowball offer. And I've heard over and over again, yeah, that's not even worth presenting. That's not even worth presenting to the to my client. And when I seen that Jerry wanted me to say this next quote, I was like, this is gonna be so hard to do. Like, this is just so, like, this was not in my character build to, after somebody said no, they're not gonna do something, for me to jump back in and ask them to do exactly what I want them to do. But I've done it and it's worked every single time. If I say exactly this: can you call the seller right now and present my cash offer, and then see if we can get it in writing? Or at least just say something to the effect of, after they say no, I mean, that's not even worth the verbal offer, I would then say, I mean, but like, can you just call them right now and present it and just see what they say? And even if they're not calling their client, they're telling me that they're gonna call their client, and then they're getting back in contact with me again. And that's when I'm building the relationship. That's when I'm saying, okay, hey, I understand that this offer probably isn't going to work, but if you get any other properties before they hit the market, would you mind adding me to the list? Would you mind sending me emails and let me know when you have those properties? And I've actually had somebody say, yes, I'll do that, and I've been added to a list. So that's the whole process that we're going to be going through. So in summary, we have the introduction. Get right to the point. Hi, Mr. Agent, I'm calling about your listing on blank, blank, blank avenue. I'm an investor interested in making a cash offer. You're going to want to establish the double dip relationship by saying, I'm unrepresented and I'd like to let you write the offer for me so that you can get both sides of the commission. How's that sound? Step 2, build credibility. We're going to say, what can you tell me about the property? We're going to follow that up with a strategic question that you have about the property, showing that you have looked at it and that you have your own opinion. Step 3, justify low cash offer by saying exactly this: what do you think it'll cost to rehab this home? And if I make those repairs, what do you think it'll sell for? Then we're moving into step 4, finding the bottom. We're going to say, I'd like to make an offer. If I can close fast and pay all cash, what do you think's the lowest price that the seller will take for the property? Then we're going to say, my offer is quite a bit lower than the asking price, but I still like to make a cash offer. Would you be willing to present a verbal offer to the seller that is much lower than the asking price? Step 5, we're going to give the offer. We're going to say exactly this, word for word once again. Based on everything we discussed, for this deal to work, I need to be around, and then give your price, with wiggle room to negotiate. Follow that up with, can you call the seller right now and present my cash offer, and then see what they say. If it's good, we can get it in writing. This is the script that I'm going to be using for every call that I make. I found that sometimes you're not going to be able to get on the phone directly with an agent and have a discussion. Sometimes you're going to have to text them, or you're going to call and you're going to go to voicemail, stuff like that. But I still am able to move along in the process, no matter if I'm going from texting to calling or calling to texting, if I have my steps in place. Because I can do step 1 through the text message. And then once I ask the first question in step 2, what can you tell me about the property? That's normally when they want to call me, because they don't want to text that. So now I'm on the phone for step 2 and step 3. Okay? Now sometimes I've had step 2 and step 3, and then I'll have them send me comps. So now I get back off the phone. So now I'm doing my own comps with what they sent me, which is called a CMA. And then I get back on the phone for 4 and 5. I get back on the phone and I say, hey, I looked at the comps. Yep, what you said it was going to take to rehab, that's what it sounds like it would take, blah, 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 blah. And then I go into what's the lowest that your seller would take in step 4. Then we jump right off into step 5, give the offer. Based on everything we discussed, for this deal to work, I need to be around blank, add wiggle room. Then you're going to say, can you call the seller right now and present my cash offer? Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I'm going to be posting every day because I'm doing this every day. So the goal is to enter 2025 and to not leave broke. So yeah, follow me or something. Damn.